and selecting raise hand. If you are on a phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute. Once you're recognized by the co-chair, I will unmute you and you may be prompted to confirm unmuting on your device. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you can access the raise hand feature by clicking the participants button on the menu at the bottom of your screen and selecting raise hand. Another note is that the chat function is available solely for technical support, not to ask questions of the co-chairs. You can send me a chat if you're having any trouble and I can walk you through any issues you may be having. And with that, I'll pass the mic to our co-chairs, David Halpern and Jane Parshall.
Thank you, Saida.
You're welcome.
This is the April meeting of the Landmarks Committee of Community Board 8. We have 4 applications to hear. We will vote on the context and appropriateness of each application. We will hear first from the applicant, then from the public, and then we will go into executive session and formulate a resolution that will be presented to our full board at its Zoom meeting on this Wednesday evening. So thank you all for joining us. And with that, we're going to start. I'm Jane Parshall, the co-chair, and David Halpern, the other co-chair, will be presenting number 1.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, so the first application is 201 East 65th Street, individual landmark. Welcome back. Adam Kushner, architect, a modern style mixed-use building designed by Mayer and Whittlesey and Skidmore, Owings and Merrill and constructed in 1947-1951. Application is for installation of an exterior awning. So if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Will the applicant please raise their hand?
Applicant here? Oh, okay. Can you,
your virtual hand.
Can you share with us?
Okay. You're unmuted and you have the capacity to share your screen. Can you confirm unmuting on your? Sure.
I am going to do my best to share my screen and hopefully this will be painless. Let's see. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I'm sure the members of the community board are familiar with our presentation. We are looking to install a awning over the stair leading to the cellar doctor's office on the 65th East 65th Street side of the building to protect our patients from the weather, snow, ice, and also to offer light for the stairs, so it makes it an easier, safer path down to the doctor's office located in the cellar. Just to clarify a question that had come up last time, the ADA access to this office is offered through the East 66th Street residential entrance. So on the other side of the building. This is several different views of the awning. We have removed most of the wording and verbiage on our awning, and we have only left it on the portion that faces east towards 3rd Avenue and directly in front of the entrance to the stairwell that goes down to the cellar doctor's office. I think this makes it much more understated and not so prominent, which was something that was brought up previously. We also took the board's advice and have we basically redesigned the directory so that the background of the plaque will match the color of the existing stuccoed archway, so that essentially blends in to the existing building structure. but is still legible for patients to ensure that they're coming to the right doctor's office. Again, the color that we're proposing for the awning is similar, if not the same, as the awning that exists on East 66th Street for the sports medicine facility. And, you know, I guess this is just so everyone can see, I'm going to zoom in on this. So this is the awning on East 66th Street, closer to 2nd Avenue. And same color, similar lettering and wording on their awning. Their awning is going up, whereas ours is obviously following the contour of the stair. With that said, I will turn it over to Russell, who's also on our team, who would also like to say a few words, and I will stop sharing my screen if that's okay.
Russell, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. I just wanted to really kind of stress that, you know, we took the board's recommendation last time. We made the awning much less busy. It's very simple. It just, as John just said, it just, you know, names the tenant fronting 65th Street, and we took away all of the lettering. And this is really something that's needed for the health and safety of the doctor's patients. You know, if someone gets dropped off on 65th Street, we need to keep them safe from the elements, the snow, the rain, darkness, that kind of thing. So, you know, that's really what this is for. It's functionality over.
Serve it to me, but I don't know.
It's functionality over form here. So, you know, I can't stress enough how much this is for the health and safety of the doctor's patients, some of the elderly patients, you know, just to keep them safe and keep them from getting hurt, maybe slipping and falling, that sort of thing. So that's really all I have to add.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the presentation, gentlemen?
No, and then I just wanted to introduce Dr. Segal, who is one of the doctors who, you know, one of the owners of the of Manhattan Cardiology. So Dr. Segal, I think he wanted to say a few words about this as well.
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. I don't know if can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for having me and really appreciate it. I'm the owner of the medical office. I brought my staff here with me, Dr. Pate and Miss Coley Nadine Johnson, because just wanted to stress the importance of this awning in terms of weather protection. And certainly I want to do everything. I'm part of the community. I want to do everything to protect my staff and my patients, and do it within, you know, and keep the integrity of the building, as well as with all due respect to your recommendations. We are relatively busy practice. I know it's been a difficult year with COVID. We've remained first responders here. And through it all, we want to work with you. That's one thing I've learned in COVID, is try to work together and come up with a solution. Certainly as it relates to the awning, you know, we've been going through this for a while and making sure that the awning is somewhat, you know, is something you could be proud of. And certainly my patients and staff have, you know, really been grateful for something to give them some level of weather protection, and really keep in earnest, protect the community at large. I live a few blocks away. I certainly, you know, I find myself, you know, wanting to work with you guys, and hopefully the concessions are applicable. And yeah, we happy to do anything and everything within our framework. You know, part of this was looking at other awnings around the building and, you know, making sure that it's consistent with your likes. And that's where the blue came from, with regards to the 66th Street office. But, for the most part, again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We look forward to being here for many years and being in compliance with the community. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Denise Pate, Medical Director at the office.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us. Like Dr. Segal said, we do have a very busy practice and we are very much servers of the community. So I think that that's something to really pay attention to. Our practice serves many of the Upper East Side members, including members that do live in the building itself. So we do have a fair number of patients that live and work in the building. And honestly, the most important thing for us is really safety first when it comes to our patients. So knowing that they're able to get in and out of our office in a well-protected environment where the awning is protecting the stairs from the elements, whether it be rain, snow, ice that can accumulate. I think it's really important, as well as giving the area a well-lit environment that comes, when staff or patients are leaving at night. We do have later hours, 4 nights out of the week, and especially in the fall and winter time, we know that it gets darker earlier. And so having the ability to have the light from the awning illuminate the staircase is very important for our patients as well. Like Dr. Segal alluded to, we don't want to be out of compliance with the building that we are a part of. And obviously we want to keep the awning unobtrusive and aesthetically pleasing to the building and the members of the building and the community. But I do really strongly believe that the awning is really an important service to our patients and to our staff as well. If you know the building and you know the building well, you'll also know that the awning is actually pretty set back from where the apartments actually are located in the building. And I think it's more set back than it is from the 66th Street side of things, where there also is that other awning that looks similar to our office. So just hope that you can understand our plight, where we deal with a big group of elderly patients that going up and down stairs in general can be concerning, and being able to make sure that that's a safe pathway for them to get in and out of is extremely important to us. So we thank you for having and listening to us tonight. And I'm going to pass the talk over to Nadine Coley-Johnson, who is the Director of Operations at our office.
I'm going to make a request. We are dealing with the appropriateness and the context of the awning. We understand the issues about safety and lighting. So if you have, I would appreciate not having anything repetitive, because we've now heard from 2 doctors, and we don't need to hear the same thing from a 3rd doctor.
So in that context, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to even listen to us. We want to be as compliant as possible, and we want to ensure, not, like you said, not to necessarily be too repetitive, but I can only speak from the context of our patients that we've serviced and we're servicing, and the experiences that they've had in the past, and the appreciation that they have expressed to us for having this awning, over the stairways so that they can appropriately enter the practice. And as you all may know, we acquired this about going on 4 years, and in the past there was no protection there, and we have to echo the sentiments of the patients that they do appreciate that we have done this. So your kind consideration in allowing us and affording us the opportunity to maintain this is going to be very much appreciated. Thank you for listening.
Is that the presentation? Thank you. We'll turn it now over to the public to see if anybody has any comments from the public.
If you do, you raise your virtual hand.
It looks like we're ready to turn it over to the committee. Saida?
It's like, okay.
Okay, we'll go to the committee and we'll ask you to take everybody in alphabetical order. Saida.
Okay. Elizabeth, you're unmuted.
This is, in my view, a minor improvement. I think the situation is most unfortunate. I think the solution is to find another entrance to this office. I think that the awning, I regret to say, is not suitable. It is not appropriate. I think that and I don't even think it's going to solve a problem, because to solve the problem, you really need sides down to the ground, because rain just doesn't convene straight down. Snow doesn't do that. It blows. The steps will get icy and wet, and the patients will get wet and be blown anyway. So I don't know. I see your problem, but you've got stairs there, so this does not accommodate handicapped patients anyway. I think it's an unfortunate situation, and I think an alternative solution would be preferable.
Next, thank you, Elizabeth.
Gail, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. I agree with Elizabeth. I think that because the canopy is so large and yet the sides are really relatively short proportionately, I don't think, unfortunately, it's going to provide adequate protection. And I also think that even though you change the color, it's still a very intense blue. And if it were a smaller canopy, perhaps the color would work. But if I'm not mistaken, when you look at the color on 65th Street, it was more like a muted navy. So it didn't kind of shout at you the way this particular color does. I really think that if there's any way that patrons that, or your people who need to get in and are somehow or other challenged by walking down those stairs, if there's a way that they can come in through the other entrance. I recognize it's through the building itself, and that might not be ideal, but it's safe. It would be much safer. And I just don't see that this canopy really solves the problem. I do think that the way in which you've listed the doctors, however, is a major improvement. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a question from Monica McCain. Monica, confirm unmuting.
Yes, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to raise virtual hand. I was just kind of confused, and I attended the last meeting, but I was out of town. I couldn't call in. And I wanted to confirm, this awning exists right now, and all of the presentation materials and references are that it is proposed. So I'm wondering, why aren't you showing the photo of the actual awning right now?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I didn't put together the presentation material, so I will have to speak to
Well,
you.
let's answer the question as to whether the awning exists now or not. Whether this is an attempt to legalize something that's there or something isn't there and you're about to ask us to.
I don't know if you can see my
endorse it.
camera, but I just took the picture just before this meeting. Oh, it didn't come out correctly.
There's an awning there, but we're proposing this awning. I don't mean to play with semantics.
It's
there's something
virtually
there.
identical. It's identical. It's what you had presented before with all the writing down the side. I And I very last minute, I emailed it to Jane, but I don't know if she's been able to see that. Because I only looked at this material very recently, but the awning's already there with a lot of writing on it. So I'm just confused why this is happening now. Geez, I can't even, don't think it is. If you
Well,
can see it.
we have
That's-
to assume that it's happening because the awning that's there is not an awning that has been approved by landmarks.
It's been there a long time. I live on 65th Street. I see it every day.
Well, they're here to propose a new awning.
Okay.
And I guess, what are the reasons for the awning? You've given us safety and lighting and so on down the line. But you haven't told us that it's to replace another awning which has shortcomings, perhaps, from a design point of view, or that has shortcomings and that it was never approved by landmarks when it should have been. Can we get an answer?
I mean, sorry, I do have to check to make sure which answer is correct. That I can get back to you guys via email by Saida, if that works.
You know, there's nothing like the whole truth because you prejudice your case.
I'm trying to. Apologies if that's how it's coming off.
Well, let's continue with the committee.
Michelle, confirm unmuting.
Yes, thank you. I'm very, very disappointed to hear that an awning already exists. And whether or not it's the one that you proposed last time, no matter what it is, the fact that it's there illegally because nobody ever approved it. So that's quite disturbing. And also in face of the fact that you did know that you had to go to landmarks and that they sent you to the community board. So that was information that you had. So that's very disappointing. To address this tonight, it's my understanding this practice has nothing to do with the practice whose entrance is on the other side of the building, correct? You're not affiliated. These are two separate medical
We are
practices,
not affiliated
correct?
with sports.
Not affiliated. Okay. So the reality is there's no real meaning, no real reason for you to have the same color awning as the one that exists on the other side of the building. One, I might say that I don't ever remember having to approve because I certainly would never have approved that color. To my mind, I'm very happy that you revised the writing. And I'm very happy that you changed the doctor's list. That seems fine. I would not, even though from a safety point of view, I realize that longer sides would be better. I'm not for advocating that this particular awning be increased, that the sides be lengthened. I think it's intrusive enough, but I would say that I would like it much, much better if the color resembled the limestone, you know, the little, I guess they're limestone bricks under the wrought iron railing. And if the awning was that sort of milky beige color, which also would be the same as the backsplash for the doctor's offices, this would be much more palatable for me. So as it exists, I would tend not to approve it because I don't think that we need the symmetry between this and the front of the building, given the fact that it's not compatible with the rest of the building. So while I like symmetry, I don't see the point of having two wrongs as opposed to a right. If we could ever address the awning on the other side of the building and change the color, I would welcome that opportunity. So I don't know how the committee or the chairs want to address the illegality. That will be up to them, but these are my thoughts. Thank you.
Well, we are here to talk about the context and appropriateness of this proposed awning. The issue of the legality is really something that it's good to know about, but it shouldn't. But people will have to decide whether they think it affects the context and appropriateness.
Thank you, David.
Really, which is really a visual issue.
Thank you, David. I had one more question about the lighting. We're not informed as to how many lumens this is or how bright this is, but can you inform us as to the hours that those lights will be on? When is the end of your office hours, and can we assume that at the end of the day, these will be turned off? What's the story with the light, how the lights function?
Hi,
Saida,
this-
yeah,
Good. Guys, this is Robert Segal. Hi, how are you? Just to, the lights go off at 10 p.m. But we close our offices at around 9, 4 nights a week. And that's when the last staff gets out. Just to go back to the couple of other points that have been made. First of all, I think this blue that's been shown here on this rendering is much more illuminated than the actual blue that currently lives there. And to that point, yes, my mistake on this, because I went to the building for permission. I got the board approval, and to my ignorance, no one told me to go to the landmark and the community to ask for permission. If I would have known that, I certainly would have guaranteed all of you would have had the opportunity to give us what conditions that an awning should be there. So my apologies, that awning currently exists. As one of the board members had mentioned, it's been there for almost a year. And the intense blue was basically the same blue as 66th Street, but this blue here on this rendering, again, looks a little more illuminated than the actual blue that.
Okay. Can I just,
David, may I?
We're not
say
here to have,
something?
we're not here to have a discussion, Michelle. You've
no, I
asked your
want to go
question.
back to the lighting. I did ask my question and the gentleman went on to another. I'm not finished with my lighting question. You said it goes off at 10 p.m. 4 nights a week. Is it illuminated all weekend?
No, it's off. I'm sorry. I should have answered that more. It goes off at 10 p.m. every night.
So even on the weekends?
Even on the weekends, correct.
Okay, so you have office hours 7 days a week.
We have office hours 6 days a week, on Saturdays too.
So on Sunday, are the lights off?
On Sundays, they should be off. We have a timer. They should be off.
Okay, thank you.
Alita, confirm unmuting.
Thanks, Saida. Well, I have to concur with everyone else. I think that's enough said. It still looks like advertising and it still has nothing to do with the aesthetics of the building. So I can't support this. Thank you. Oh, and I do think the light should go out when the office closes, which reinforces my sense that this is advertising for your practice. So, which you're entitled to do, but I don't think you're entitled to do it this way. Thank you very much.
Sarah, confirm unmuting.
Hi, I have no questions. Thank you.
Anthony, confirm unmuting.
I'm unmuted. Thank you for coming back to us and so quickly. But I feel, as does everyone else, a little bit like the Grinch in that this is still not appropriate. And part of why it's not appropriate is are all the things everybody else has said. And also, I think that this is the wrong form for this canopy. Nowhere else in the original part of the building do you have anything that feels anything like this. And although we're not really charged with making suggestions, if this were stepped and a lot thinner, it might seem less inappropriate. I also think it comes out on the street much more than it should. That big sort of masonry portal ought to be the beginning of it, but that's more of a design issue than maybe we're supposed to get into. But I do think that it's still not appropriate. And that's my comment.
Harrison, confirm unmuting.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Thank you. Yeah, so I've walked by this building a number of times. Well, walking around the neighborhood, and I did notice this awning actually, because I was walking by it and it caught my eye, and I thought, wow, that's the color that a billboard on I-95 could be, and it would catch my eye. And I thought to myself immediately, wow, that seems inappropriate for the neighborhood, and it kind of I think it throws the whole block out of step a little bit. And I think that there's an issue here with the inconsistency between the current actual existing conditions and what the presentation says, which is a little bit off-putting, but I'll stick to the topic at hand, which is whether or not this awning should be allowed to be there. And I'd like to agree with fellow board members when they say that I don't know how effective this awning will be necessarily, and that paired with the fact that it is this strong electric blue color, and even though this might be a little bit more toned up than the way it looks in person, walking by it multiple times in person, it's a strong blue, and I just don't think it's appropriate. And I think that if this were a more effective design, and if it were a more subtle grayish color, I think that that'd be a different situation, right? Because of course we want to provide the medical offices here with whatever they need to guarantee the safety of their patients, but I don't think that this properly and effectively does that, and I also think it sticks out like a sore thumb. So those are just my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Marco, confirm unmuting.
Oh, thank you. Well, everything has been said. I'm curious. The cantilever of this canopy, how much protrude on the sidewalk? Do you have any questions? Somebody can answer that.
Yeah, the projection over the sidewalk is 4 foot 2 inches, so 50 inches.
It's even beyond what is it? The size, the regular size of the awnings. So I'm gonna be very straightforward in this case. I think if the color were not so intense or profound, probably made me think in another direction. But I don't think that the geometry, the color, because that's basically what it is, this application. You didn't work in that direction, and you should start working something that actually blend with the architecture of the building. And I think I don't have no more comments, and thank you.
Christina, confirm unmuting. It's okay, you got it.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I agree with what all the comments have been, and wouldn't approve this. Thank you.
Okay. Kimberly, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. Like Christina had just said, I don't have anything further to add, and I'm inclined to disapprove this application.
Ready for Jane?
Oh, thank you, David. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no one's mentioned that this is the Manhattan House, the iconic modernist apartment building in New York that is an individual landmark. And as I'm shocked at the applicant for coming back to us with a proposal that's so similar to the initial proposal. I'm also very surprised that the board of the Manhattan House didn't tell the tenant how important it was to go to the commission, since this is an individual landmark. And I'm sure the tenant knew that when he purchased the space. We are here for context and appropriateness. Thank you.
I have very little to add. As Anthony pointed out, there are lots of ways to think about this canopy. He only mentioned one, but I'm sure there are many more ways than one. So between form and color, I think that we have to ask you, at least in my opinion, to go back and try again. I have one small disagreement with my fellow committee members. The difference between turning the light off at 9:15 and 10 o'clock is no big deal. And I think that the people who are working in the office who have to leave late at night deserve having the light on. So I personally don't think that that really belongs as part of our issues with respect to context and appropriateness. Other than that, I think it's all been well said, and I think it's time for a vote. But first, we need a resolution. Somebody please make a resolution. We have everybody, it seems,
I make a motion to disapprove, and with the whereases being left to the co-chairs as they heard them tonight.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Saida, please call the roll. So a yes is a disapproval.
Yes?
Gail?
Yes?
Yes.
Saida, you handle it, please.
Sure. Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Dave, I'm sorry. Harrison? Harrison?
Sorry, I didn't get the message on my screen, so I'm muted. Yes.
Okay. Marco?
Yes.
Christina?
I don't know if she heard.
Christina?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And Kimberly?
Yes.
Thank you. That's a unanimous disapproval. Sorry, David?
Yes.
And
I don't
Jane?
Yes.
Thank you. That's a unanimous disapproval.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Siegel and others. We hope you'll come back with a better solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to move to number 2, 975 Park Avenue, the Park Avenue Historic District. It's a medieval revival style penthouse constructed 1928-29, or the building was constructed 1928-29. Application is for Southeast Terrace Penthouse Extension. Is the applicant here, Stephen Wong, presenting for the applicant?
He is. He's unmuted.
Oh, thank you.
Stephen?
Yes, good evening all. Thank you for your time. Let me share my screen. Okay, are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Terrific. Okay, 975 Park Avenue is on Park Avenue and 83rd Street. This is the view of the entry of the building. It's on the southeast corner. The penthouse is not visible from this vantage point because the parapets along the street frontages are extremely high. So let me move along. We have the tax map photo from 1940, and it looks pretty much intact today. I am pleased to report. The location plan, as I said, it's on the corner of 83rd and Park Avenue. And that was just the historic district. Okay, on the penthouse, there is an apartment. It has wraparound terraces, and the area and the key plan is the extension, which is on the basically middle of the block. And what I have on the, and it's quite a modest extension, it's extending the existing width and space out 10 feet, 8 inches onto the terrace. So if you look at the existing penthouse terrace plan to the left, bottom left, that's how it is today. Pair of doors onto the terrace. And as I said, that wraps around. On the right is the extension. And it will, it's in keeping with the rest of the aesthetic of that penthouse, which I will show you as we scroll through. This is the rooftop plan, echoing the same. So it's a continuation of the parapets. And on the south end is the mutton glass greenhouse, which will be better seen when we get to the renderings. This is the elevation of the building, and in elevation and 2D straight on, you do see the top of the penthouse. And the reason we are here today, in fact, is because there's partial visibility from 2 vantage points. One on the street behind the building on 82nd, and another, which we will see momentarily, and another from the corner of Lexington Avenue and 83rd. And this is where you do see the extension. It's not on the street frontage. And I have indicated that on the top, the left side is the existing condition, but look at the top left of the existing and the top left of the proposed, which is an extension of that masonry wall.
Can you tell us the dimensions of the extension?
Yes, it's 10'8" by the width, and if you bear with me, I'll go back 14'8".
So the 10'8" is the length?
The length, that's correct.
And what is the width again?
Let me correct myself. Inside is 10'8". Exterior dimension, 11'2", extending to the south. And the width maintains the width of the current penthouse, which is 14'8" overall, including the walls.
And how many square feet is that? You might have mentioned it.
No, I didn't mention it. It's a very good question. So it's approximately, I will calculate it as I present. It's approximately 150 square feet.
150 square feet. Okay, thank you. And what is the height? I don't think you gave
the height is to match the existing, which is, we'll need to go backwards or forwards. Just bear with me. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. Which is not indicated here, but I have my colleagues on the call. So, but it's matching the existing height. It's something like, hang on, I will tell you exactly. Just bear with me.
Okay, I'm assuming it's about 10 feet, maybe less.
I believe it's 12'2" to the top of the parapet from the terrace.
So it's high. Okay, thanks.
Okay. The idea of aligning it with the parapet was just to keep it homogeneous with the existing structure. So I'm going to go backwards to see where I were. And so there's the proposed extension, southern view on the right, and existing condition now on the left. And again, just a close-up, that's the east elevation of the wall. existing and proposed below, with the addition indicated with the matching mutton glass French doors and matching brick, and the motifs that are in the corner that's original to the building will be replicated at the corners of the lintel of the new doors.
And the material?
Brick, masonry, brick, red brick, and that will come out in the renderings, which I'll present shortly.
Okay.
This is the southern view, so that the existing on the top, if that was brought straight towards us, and then on the bottom is the matching mutton glass, but in a greenhouse configuration between the masonry piers. And this is the west elevation. So you can see the extension. I see it's mislabeled, south on one and west on the other, but it is the west elevation. Okay, here's a 3D model of that extension. It's the matching masonry brick, matching parapet coping. As I said, the details that in the corners of each door lintel, the doors and color and finish will all match to the existing house. So this is just showing the finishes. There's a photograph on the bottom right of how it is now. The doors and frames are a dark bronzy brown. Section doesn't offer a lot more information as the others did, but you can have a look at what that does. Now, these are the points, well, visibility. So this one is on Lexington Avenue, 83rd Street. We're facing west. So the first view to the left is existing. The middle view is the mock-up, and the proposed view is the Photoshop rendering. Now, I know there's a lot going on there and a lot of activity with water towers, other greenhouses and so on. I'm just going to expand my screen. I don't know if this helps from your viewing point. But
maybe you could just tell us how many feet are visible. It might be easier.
Well, I think if I can just expand this, do you see that up there? Does that help, the red square?
Yes.
I see the red square. It looks like you can see the entire addition though.
Well, it's above the parapet. That parapet there is quite high.
Okay, so how many feet above the parapet do you think?
But you're looking in perspective, so that's a little tough to do. But the parapet is 4'8" in that location, and the top of that is 12'2", which we just determined earlier on your questions. So if I expand the Photoshop, it's an extension of the brick wall, like that.
So if the parapet is 4 feet 8 inches and the overall height of the penthouse is 12 feet 2 inches,
yes,
the difference is approximately 8 feet, right?
Correct, but it's set
7
back
feet.
by the depth of the. It's set back by the depth of the terrace, so you're looking
Okay, that makes sense.
in perspective, so you don't see that. That's why it doesn't look so big in perspective in photographs.
Okay, so it's set back by the depth of the terrace. So
Correct.
what you're saying is you're going to see maybe 4 feet, 5 feet?
I think that's reasonable, because if you look at the windows below that, and they're about 4 feet high, and it's not even 4 feet. You're probably close to the 3 feet. Some of those bathroom windows that you see in the building, and it's if you sort of scaled to that. But it's against the perspective. It's not, it's very difficult to call it in a dimension. But yeah, you probably got about 3 feet if you scale those windows.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So the other viewpoint is on the 80. Building.
We lost the sound. Okay.
You got me?
Yes, now I do.
Okay. We have a small townhouse that aligns perfectly with this building in its configuration from 82nd Street. So I'm on the next block now. And the first view is the existing, how it looks. The second view is the mock-up. And the third view is the Photoshop rendering in the same manner that we just did. I'm going to zoom into the rendering just to point it out. So you see that at the top there, zoomed in. But this is standing there with a camera, you know, at eye height looking back up.
So how many feet do you think are visible from this perspective?
Well, again, if you look at those windows below in that elevation, those windows, you know, like let's even say they're 5 feet. It's quite a bit less. It's probably less than half a window, maybe 2.5 feet.
So 2.5 feet. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's set back from the terrace. I'm not trying to go right out to a parapet.
No, I just like to put in numbers.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. And this is just the bird's eye view, looking down on it, so you get some, you know, perspective from a satellite view, exactly where it falls. Obviously, it's in the inner courtyard, not on the street side, but on the street side, the parapets go up to quite a bit higher. They're probably 8-9 feet along the front. Any questions on that view?
No, not from me. Well, we'll get to questions.
Okay, no problem. These are just other approved examples. This one's 935 Park Avenue. This one they built all the way out to the parapet. You can see it kind of perched under the water tank. And this is another one, 655 Park Avenue. These are bigger square footage areas than ours, but they're comparable in the fact that they're rooftop additions, they're in the district, they're in the neighborhood, and they were prior landmark supplied approvals. Okay, that's what I have to present, so I will hand it over to questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wang. I know you've been before us before. You always make wonderful presentations, and I especially appreciate bringing the model, which probably is the most valuable part of your presentation, really. So beautiful. In any case, Saida, is there anyone from the public?
Again, members of the public, if you'd like to raise your hand, you can go to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and selecting the raise hand option. I don't see any, Jane.
Okay, we'll go to the committee. And I get it's easier if we just go in alphabetical order again.
Okay. We can go in reverse order if you like.
Okay, you can try it. Thank you.
Sure. Marco, confirm unmuting.
Thank you, Jane. I think the 3D model clearly explains everything. And there is only a partial minimal visible from the streets. From 82nd Street is minimal visible. Let me ask a question. How high is the building?
It's 16 floors.
See, 160 feet. So at that height, you have to see 2.5 feet and 3 feet, or maybe you can put it even 4 feet. I think it's completely not visible when you have at that distance. I think your approach is very sensitive, and I think you match very well with the colors, the materials works very well. And the only part that I didn't like is when you send one of the the beautiful presentation at 655 Park Avenue, which is better than you. But in any event, your application is good, and I will support your application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Harrison, confirm a meeting.
Yeah, so first and foremost, thank you for the very comprehensive presentation. I thought it really filled us in very well on the plan here. I've got no issues with this. I think it looks like a good approval, and so I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Anthony?
Great. This is fine. It's the views from elsewhere or from the other streets are almost trivial, especially since we're matching the existing masonry. So it's fine with me.
Sarah?
Hi, I agree with Anthony with regard to the design and the masonry and the way that I'm sorry. So I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alita?
Thank you. I have no comments or questions except to note that this seems like a sensitive rooftop addition. A lot of them don't seem to me to fit the aesthetic of the building or the neighborhood, but this one does. So thank you.
Michelle?
Thank you. Just confirming this is not visible from Park.
Correct. It's not visible from Park or 83rd.
Okay. Are these steel windows?
These aren't actually. These were because I did the original renovation. These windows are actually very finely made wood, and they have on the outside a bronze metal finish. So it's a combination. Inside it's wood.
But it's wood. Is that in keeping with the windows along the rest of the penthouse?
Oh yes, it's one apartment, the whole penthouse.
And it's all the same kind of windows. Okay, the other thing is, what about lighting? Is there lighting that will stay on in this addition?
The interior lights?
Yeah, because the interior lights here become exterior. In other words,
I know, I understand. You know, I'm a big fan of dark skies myself. But I don't think they want to be in a fishbowl, candidly. I'm going to have motorized shades, but I honestly don't know how I can control their use of lighting. But I know that they wouldn't want to be, as I said, in a fishbowl. And there are motorized shades. So
okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Gail?
Okay. I'd like to commend you for an excellent presentation, and I fully support your proposal. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Elizabeth?
I think it's a fine design, excellent materials, and minimally visible, so one can ask nothing more than that, and I will certainly support it.
Thank you.
David?
I think everyone has given it the accolades it deserves. I certainly will support it. It's very well done.
Well, Mr. Wang, it looks like we're going to get a unanimous approval. We always love hearing from you when you present to us.
Well,
So
I was a little frightened.
Many times again.
Okay.
Does somebody want to make a resolution?
Yeah, I would like to recommend the approval, to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
So I think we're ready for the roll, Saida.
With the drawings for the t-shirts.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Yes?
Gail?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Marco,
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
and Christina.
Call on the public members.
Christina? Christina?
Yes. Did you? You have to unmute me.
Thank you. Yes, I could.
Yes,
David?
but you didn't.
Yes.
Didn't call public members. But yes, I do approve it.
Jane?
Yes.
Unanimous approval.
Thank you very much. We're going to move right along to number 3, 130 East 70th Street. This is the Upper East Side Historic District. An Italianate Second Empire building. Application is for facade replacement. Is Mr. Cope here who's presenting for the applicant? Cope?
Rita Marks is the presenter for Oliver Cope.
Rita Marks. Okay, thank you. So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm assuming you're going to do a screen share.
Yes. Are you ready?
Yep, thank you.
Click this on. Share screen. Is my screen visible?
It is.
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to be presenting an application for a new stone facade at 130 East 70th Street. It's a building built in 1869. I've got a lot of data here for landmarks. Let me just get you to a visual. Here we go. It was built in 1869. It was one of 5 identical row houses built at the same time in the Italianate Second Empire style by John Sexton. Each one of these 5 buildings has been altered over time. In fact, Oliver Cope architect reinvented the base of 134 East 70th Street in 2006 quite successfully. At that point, it housed a commercial establishment and is now a single-family home. At the same time in 2006, an application was made by a developer to update and renovate this beautiful building. You see the tax ID photo from 1940, which is where they started. It was painted white, it was parged with a stucco, and they've successfully applied to have it resurfaced with a stucco brownstone material, a parging that was painted pine cone brown. At that time they acquired this building, all the beautiful detailing had been removed. They successfully removed the bay, they altered the stoop in some way, and they got approval for a stamped concrete areaway. Here are close-up details from that 1940 tax ID photo. Shows you how ornate the property was before it had been stripped. Here are some more. The building is set back from the building wall by about 8 feet, and the stoop projects forward of the building wall, its neighbors, by about 5 feet. And we're about 2 feet down from the sidewalk. This is the view facing east. Here's the view facing west. You see our stoop and its relationship to the building to its right. This is the building looking straight ahead. The windows were replaced in 2006. We're not proposing to change the windows. They're all 1/1. We are only proposing to change the material and the detailing and try to bring it back to its original decoration with some restraint from the cornice line down to the areaway, and replace the stoop. It's in terrible condition. Here's an attempt at a sort of a rendering of what our proposal looks like, but I think our line drawings give you a better sense of the detailing we're trying to achieve. I'll keep moving. We were asked to do context panoramas. It shows you there's really an excellent block in the Upper East Side neighborhood. Here are our existing elevation. As it stands now, it has very fine reveals struck into the stucco masonry facade. Has an original front door, and the ironwork has been replaced. I don't know when. We have a neighbor to our left that has a stucco face we would like to also upgrade in our proposal. And here's a good look at the metalwork. More good context photos of what we're dealing with. See how flat the detailing is around the arch windows on the garden level. A view of the condition of the stoop facing east. The stoop is a concrete, appears to be poured concrete with a sand parged paint on it. Here's a view of the areaway, stamped concrete terrace. There's 2 steps up. An entrance that's actively used below the stoop, and the condition of the stoop as you see it today. Some more details of what we're doing. That's a good look at the material that that exists. Okay, let's get to the design. These are precedents for our proposal. We did a lot of touring around the neighborhood, and you'll notice that this rusticated base is very common. And in some cases, you'll find a rustication continue up the facade. And the flat pediments you see in our neighborhood, that is also present in the original building. As you can see at the upper 2 floors where the top 2 floors where they're triple windows, you'll see that flat pediment. That's all over the neighborhood. Excellent detail of that flat pediment and the sill with the blocks we're attempting to imitate. The stone is a limestone. It's called lilac. It's from a source. We're getting it from Canada. Traditional cut stone is the company, and we are.
Could you just backtrack? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Marks. So could you just sort of explain overall what you're planning to do with the front elevation? You're planning to replace it, but
yes,
in general, it'll be mostly what?
It'll be stone from the cornice line down to the areaway pavement. Here we go. That's the proposal.
Okay.
From the cornice line.
What kind of stone? Limestone?
No, it's sandstone.
Sandstone. Thank you. Thank you. That clears up a lot.
I'm
so
sorry,
it's sandstone blocks.
Yeah, they're sandstone. So they'll be laid up. This is real material. It's we're proposing 2-inch thick material on a backer. We haven't gotten our probes approved by landmarks, but we will be furring forward. We'll be applying this stone facade to the existing backup masonry. We'll be bringing the facade forward maybe 3 inches, and we'll be receiving the existing windows with a modified brick mold to allow that to happen.
So that's one thing you're doing. Okay, got it. Now, what's the next thing that you're doing on the front elevation?
Okay, so the facade, the stoop will be replaced, and it will look exactly the way you see it now. It'll be replaced with solid stone. It currently bears on load-bearing masonry walls that are hidden below it, and the railings will be replaced.
In kind, or will they be changed?
The railing will be changed. The stoop will be identical to what it is now. And I have good railing details in this presentation at the back. There's a lot of sheets here, but these are all before and after. What we have is a smooth parged surface. This will be stone blocks, and that's sandstone. We're replacing the sidewalk with bluestone slabs and the areaway with bluestone. I would call it an ashlar pattern. These are views of the areaway. Let me get to And there's no work on the interior. It's strictly an exterior application. It shows what we're doing. We're proposing for the bluestone pavers around an existing tree planter. Let me get to the details to see how lovely this will look. Here we go. The upper triple windows will have a stone flat-headed pediment effectively. The casing.
Is that new? Is that
It's all new work. Anything you see hatched is all new stone work we're having made. And that will be applied to the triple windows at the top, underneath the cornice, of course, and the next line down. And they have stone sills with small blocks in stone. So all that sandstone. Here's another detail facing you. This is a large detail of what that will look like.
So you're replacing all the window surrounds on the front
Correct.
elevation.
Correct.
Okay.
When we're going to take off the parging back to the substrate and build forward a new stone facade.
So you're replacing all the window surrounds.
Correct.
Okay.
Right
And you
down
have
to
stone sills with small blocks underneath.
Yep. Shown in
Okay.
the detail sheet. And here's a good section, plan section of what we're doing. The stone will meet the neighbor's building all the way, and this is an existing meter and gutter system we have. Okay, we're going to head down to the detail how we start the stone at the top, because we're not replacing this cornice. We're trying to figure out how to adapt it and waterproof correctly. Here's a good close-up on the right of the panel below the parlor floor window, all the same sandstone. Here's a good detail of the areaway. We're using a little curve in order to get ourselves into the window. Here is it in plan. It'll all be pinned back to the masonry and the front door at the top of the stoop. We have a sort of more emphasized head to it. This half moon window in the door exists. We're replacing the window, the half moon window, and we're considering replacing the door. We're sort of.
Would that be in kind, or are you changing them?
This is almost identical to what he has now. It's a more Victorian leaded glass, and the door is more ornate. And if we do replace it, we're going to propose to Landmark something simpler, painted in black.
So you're replacing the front door, but you're really minimally changing the window above.
Right. It's right now, it's a air leaking through it, and we're going to replace it and simplify it. It's very Victorian. It's not original to the building.
And you're modifying, then I'm going to put modifying.
I would say modifying. Yeah,
Okay.
you would, by the time we're finished with that, you'll say, was that new? Did they replace? It looks very much like the old one.
Okay.
Our 10. And then these are details of the stone that we're going to apply to our neighbor, so we don't look at stucco parging on this side of the building. So there are two approaches to how one would meet the neighbor, which is what we express in this drawing. And here's the railing. Precedent is a bottom image found on East 73rd Street. The townhouse we did at 134 had a stainless cap, which is lovely, and we're going to propose to do that again. So this is a few doors down. And this is a nice essay of the detail.
So it's wrought iron with a stainless cap on it.
Cap, correct. Very simple. And that's at 134 and we're at 130. I think that's it. Yeah, and here's again, this is a before and after. This is what we have now and what we're proposing. And I would like to tell you that this shaded area we want to add a little texture to the stone. So we're going to use some very fine striae, which you saw in the material samples. I moved very quickly. And that will give that some punch at the bottom.
At ground level, the stone, the sandstone will have some kind of a
vertical striae, yeah, right up to this line, which we call the water table.
Okay.
Is there any questions? Do you want me to go back?
Well, no, I think we'll wait. I'm sure the committee will have questions.
Right.
A lot to digest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Saida, is there anyone from the public present?
If you are a member of the public and you have a comment, you can go to the bottom of your screen and press the reactions button and select raise hand. I don't see any hands at this time.
They're adjudicating now.
So let's go to the committee, and I guess this time we'll go in alphabetical order, Saida.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Yes. Do you have an example of the color of the sandstone?
Yes, it's in the presentation. I'm going to move back up as quickly as I can to find it. There it is. There's your sample sheet. This is the lilac. We call it lilac. It's a sandstone with a sealer on it that is almost identical to the pine cone brown approved by Landmarks in 2006. Here it is. That's our existing parging, and that's the sandstone with our what we call an enhancer. It's an open pore waterproof. It got us to the color we were looking for. And here is a lovely sample of that tool de strier texture we're proposing for the garden level.
Okay. Yes, I think this is a perfectly good restoration, replacement, and respectful of the original design. So I think I can support this.
Thank you.
Gail, confirm unmuting.
I had a question regarding the wrought iron fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were the slats the same design, the same size, width apart, or I missed that when you said you were replacing the wrought iron?
Right. The wrought iron that's currently on the building is not original to the building. It had been replaced by, it was at least replaced maybe by the developer, or maybe before. I couldn't tell you. We are replacing it. The pattern is different, but it is not. It is currently. It'll be placed where there is currently a fencing and ironwork.
And how is the pattern different?
Right now, it's just verticals, and we're proposing a half round piece at the top below the cap rail. So let me run.
Can you show me that? Thank you.
I'm going to get you to that sheet, which is here's your essay, right?
Uh-huh.
The current is just vertical sticks, and we're proposing the same 4-inch on center vertical sticks, except we're introducing that half round at the top. So it does differ from the existing.
Yeah, that's nice. Why are you using the steel stainless cap on top?
It's an aesthetic choice. We used it when we did 134 East 70th, and I think the neighbors admired it.
Okay. Yeah. I happen to like the wrought iron without it, but that's just a personal preference.
It's an aesthetic thing. Yeah.
And then just one other question for you. What were the original windows like? I'm sure they weren't 1/1.
They were.
You're not replacing them. They were.
Yeah, they were. The client asked us if we could get him different windows. And we basically said it's been always 1/1. And I don't think we stand a chance of getting you anything different. So that's where we are.
How interesting.
1/1. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Michelle, confirm a meeting.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me just clarify one thing. You're laying this stone over the existing, and so it's going to protrude about 3 inches, which is fine. But does that make all of the windows recessed?
Yeah, the windows have a deep brick mold currently, and we detailed that. And the windows will be in slightly more shadow than they are now. Yes.
So the sides of the windows, what is that 3 inches going to be made of?
It's all solid stone. 2 inches of solid stone, and we think 1 inch of masonry backup, pending the probes that we're getting approved.
So even the return, in other words,
yes,
the little 3 inch return to the window is also going to be stone.
Yes, exactly. And then the new brick mold will catch it. And you won't know, by the time we're done, you won't know that it's a new facade, meaning it should look like it should have always been there. And it'll be detailed as though it was the original idea and not the stucco parging.
It was the recessed part, as it goes the 3 inches back to the window that I was concerned about.
Right.
What that was, but if that's the same stone as you have going throughout the whole facade of the building.
Right. It's right. You will not see a change of material. It'll all be
okay. And the same color.
Oh yeah, same color.
Okay. Okay, that was one thing. The railings on the stoop, the railings, are they going to be matching this fence? They're not the same now, correct?
So you're talking about the pattern going up the stoop? Are they the same? They will be the same.
Yeah.
Around the areaway, there's a gate going down to the areaway and going up to the main door. They'll all be the same.
They'll all be the same, but will they be this with the little, spokes with the little rounded top?
Yes, this is a design for up the stoop as well as around the areaway.
For everything else, in other words, and that will all have the stainless top.
Yes, I'm expecting it'll be yes.
Okay. Well, it's not a stopper for me, but it's just as a personal preference. I just prefer the iron as well.
Right.
I'm not crazy about that, especially since it's going up the stoop. And if you look at the picture of it right next to this slide in the lower right, as I face it, to me, that stainless makes too much of a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? So
fair enough. Yeah. The one in the bottom appears it might even be bronze. And this is stainless because these are different addresses. So we do see it around the neighborhood. Yeah.
Either way, I think they make too much of a statement, but it's not a stopper for me.
Right.
What about the lighting? Is there going to be lighting on either side of the front door, or how are you?
We're introducing a natural gas lantern like we have across the street, which is gorgeous, right? So that'll be hung in front of the half moon window. We're going to install a very tiny hi-hat over the arch underneath the stoop as you head toward the garden level front door, which is hidden, of course. We have secreted and a waterproof LED that you can't see the light source so that we light the arch at the half moon so it's not visible. And we are going to put lights in the planters in the areaway so that we're trying to create light whose source is not visible to the pedestrian.
Okay. Do you have a visual of the lantern that's above the front door?
It shows up in our elevation. Hope I didn't make it dizzy. There it is. That's an idea. I haven't found it yet, but it's a natural gas lantern. And I did see one across the street, which I'm very happy to match because it's so lovely. But it'll be some iron and glass bowl with 3 or 4, or fire, sort of flame.
Flame. Yeah.
Flame.
No, that's lovely. Yeah. And you haven't decided yet. You're still thinking about the door, correct?
Right. I'm inclined to change the door because it has a sort of Victorian quality to it. And I'd like to keep it simple, 2-panel black, no statement, just.
But wood.
Oh, absolutely. 2 1/4 solid mahogany, which we'll paint. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Terrific. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Alita, confirm unmuting.
Thanks, Aida. Well, I really am excited about the restoration. I think it looks good, but I do agree that the stainless steel cap on the railing feels inappropriate. And also, I don't know how visible it would be. I just have a thing about hi-hats that they just signal anything but traditional and authentic. So I know that you want to light it, and I'm not sure how you could other than that behind the, and I have to say I'm thrilled. I love seeing the gas lamps and water towers around the city. So I point out the gas lamps to whoever I'm with. But anyway, the hi-hat I'm not sure about, but those are minor. So thank you.
Sarah, confirm unmuting.
Hi. I agree about the stainless steel caps. However, I think it'll be exciting to see this townhouse with the details restored, and it's so lovely to see that it's going to be done in stone. That the window details will be done in stone, and that it looks like the applicants, are really taking great care to do a beautiful restoration. So I support this application.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anthony, confirm unmuting.
Yes, thank you. This is fine. My only question, and in a way it is a question, is why the reimagining of this building was not more of a restoration of the original stonework, which obviously is all gone. Just looking at the 1940 tax photo, there was a kind of the two dormers at the lower level of the roof were very elaborate, and I was just wondering why, and the entrance and the piano nobile windows were different from the second and third floor, and I was just wondering why you chose to do it that way.
To not go full on.
Yeah.
I think the client said he's had this house since 2006, and when he came to us, he said, I could do this, but this is not where I want to be. And we also know historically that most of these buildings in the 20th century, they had been stripped apart for fashion and reinvented by some very good architects. So in a way, there was no reason to go to the back, to do its original, because it really doesn't speak to us about what we have in the neighborhood now anyway. But I think we wanted to take it so it had a richness and a shadow and an importance that it was lost when it was stripped. And I think we accomplished that without having to imitate where the
No, I'm not saying you didn't. I was just curious.
Yeah, it was
about
just where the client was, and we sort of were all on
Okay.
the same page with that.
Thank you.
Harrison?
Hi, yeah. I think the gas lamps are going to look beautiful, and I think it's a wonderful addition to the street. I think that this is a great restoration. I too am excited about it, and I'm completely on board with it. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Marco?
I think it's a good presentation. I think you covered many things. I believe that is an improvement in general, and I support this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to public members. Kimberly?
Hi, thank you. I'm just to echo what's already been said. I really appreciated the efforts in this restoration, and I can support this application. No further questions for me.
Thank you.
Christina Davis, confirm unmuting.
This is a beautiful presentation, and on such an elegant street, I think you've done a wonderful restoration, and I approve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
David, did you want to add a comment?
Sure, I just like to say that architecture is often a question of choice. And once you've made that choice, as the architect explained, the issue is whether it's well done or not. And I think that this is beautifully done, thoughtfully detailed. I think it will be a very successful, I won't call it a restoration, I will call it a renovation, but it will be very successful, and I think it will be contextual and appropriate.
Thank you, David. I'm going to support the application as well. Does anybody want to present a resolution?
Resolution to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second, I approve. Yep, Michelle.
So Saida, I think we can go to the vote.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Michelle? I'm sorry, Gail?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Marco?
Yes.
Christina?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Unanimous approval.
Thank you, Saida. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And the next application, 163, is East 69th Street, Upper East Side Historic District. L. Ramirez Architect, a neo-Georgian style 4-story building designed by Albro and Lindbergh, constructed in 1909. Application is for window and door replacements. Rooftop floor addition. Is the presenter here?
Will the presenter raise their virtual hand?
Mr. Ramirez, I think. I see Jose Ramirez. Are you the?
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for taking the time to hear our application for 163 East 69th. I would like to pass on, if you can, to my associate, Justin Paraiso, and he will take over the presentation.
Hello, board members. Can you hear me?
We can.
We can hear you.
Okay. I will start sharing my screen.
Could you speak up, Justin? You're a little quiet.
Is this better?
A little better, but please speak as forcefully as you can.
Oh, will do. Okay.
That's better.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see the screen.
Okay, perfect. I have prepared remarks. I will begin. Okay, the subject property we are presenting today is 163rd East 69th Street, which is between 3rd and Lexington Avenue. Before speaking about the building itself, I would like to briefly talk about the construction of the 2nd and 3rd Avenue. The completion of this block was between 1880 and 1878, respectively. That directly spurred the development of row houses, tenements, and carriage houses. Number 161 to the left of us was originally a carriage house and converted in 1900s, with dwellings at the upper floors and a garage at the ground level. This building was designed by Frederick Loney with William Bruce Brown. The building to our right, number 167, was originally a third-class tenement building and replaced with 2 apartments on the upper floors and a garage at the ground level. The building was for a janitor and chauffeur owned by George Hay and designed by Charles Burge. Our building number 163, originally a third-class tenement, also was converted into a 2-family dwelling and a garage at the ground level, designed by Albro and Lindbergh for Richard M. Ho, who lived at 11 East 71st Street. Studying the streetscape of 69th Street, we start to see a rhythmic cadence of garage doors flanked by side doors on the ground level. The rhythm is the ABA pattern. This is true from number 147 all the way to number 167 along the entire block. However, there is an exception to our building where the window was introduced rather than a door, located here at the C rhythm. We want to correct this by proposing a door in its place and maintain the spirit of the block's rhythm and create a better symmetry to the building facade. Here on the right is our proposed. In addition, we would like to revert the garage doors shown in the 1940 tax photos rather than the doors now, and which is tax photos here, where it was originally a garage door with limestone keystone header above the garage doors. We're proposing to replace existing wood windows and doors due to existing deteriorated states. Replacement windows are to be the same material, finish, and style as the existing, but meet current energy code requirements. We plan on reusing existing ironwork where we can. However, damaged, deteriorated elements will be replaced in kind for safety reasons. The painted metal cornice, which here, sorry. The painted metal cornice will be refurbished and repainted white. The existing brick will require repointing and power washing. We are then adding a 5th floor on top of the existing roof, which is set back 26 feet 3 inches from the inside of the existing street fronting parapet. Shown here. We are within the limited height district requirements of 60 feet when adding the 5th floor. Visibility from Lexington is non-existent. However, there is visibility on 3rd Avenue looking north. Some line drawings show you our street view. So this photo is taken from Lexington, looking eastwards, where visibility is non-existent. Further photos and mock-ups, still non-existent views. On 3rd Avenue, however, you'll see that our mock-up is visible on 3rd Avenue. The visible portion of the proposed building will be brick facade, matching the existing brick. We believe the visible portion of the proposed visible 5th floor is within the context building and should fit in the spirit of the building and neighborhood. Here, you'll see the existing roof. And here, you'll see the mock-up that we have created. Moving to the rear facade, and after studying the existing conditions of 161 East and 167 East, we notice that there are no correlations between the 3 buildings. Each building is independently their own. There are no rhythm or alignments to windows, roof lines, finishes, or building volume. Our proposal for the rear is to reduce the size of the existing non-conforming structure, which I will show you better in this illustration. This is the existing non-conforming structure. This is the existing conditions. And to the right is our proposal. We're proposing to reduce the volume of this existing non-conforming so that our client will be able to use our rear garden. We are also introducing an enlarged opening with French doors on the 2nd floor, utilizing the roof of the existing conforming as a terrace. Here. We're proposing Juliet balconies on the 4th floor where the proposed master bedroom will be. Here. Lastly, we married the 3rd and 4th floor windows visually by introducing a solid transom panel above the 3rd floor windows. Zoom in. Existing roof vents will remain, but will have new covers. Existing limestone sills and headers will be replaced in kind if damaged, otherwise they'll be reused. The existing brick will require repointing and power washing. And with that said, that concludes our scope of work.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public?
Again, you can raise your virtual hand by going to the bottom of your screen and pressing the reactions button and selecting raise hand. We have one question. Confirm unmuting, Michelle.
Muted. How long do you expect this work to take?
The duration of construction?
Yes.
Well, the completion should last at least between 18 to 24 months.
Thank you.
Saida, if there is no one else, let's go to the committee and let's go in reverse order.
Marco?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, David. I think in general term is a very sensitive application. It covers very well most of the issues. They bring back some traditional materials and style. And And the rear yard, I think there is a lot of accomplished. They reduced the no compliance, and they take advantage to provide a very nice enclosed balcony. And the most impacted on me at the rear facade was when they put together the two windows showing verticality in the rear yard. I think it's a very smart decision. Something new is in the back. I think in general terms, I think it's a very good application. And thank you.
Thank you.
Harrison?
Yeah, no, I think that I completely agree. I think that's a good application, and the roof addition isn't imposing or even visible from some sides, and so I really don't see any reason to turn this down, and I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Great. Thank
Anthony?
you so much.
Hi. Albro and Lindeberg were pretty good architects, and and this looks fine to me. My only quibble is that you're replacing that window with a door that, in fact, judging from your drawings, won't open, and even if it did, would just be a door into the garage. It just seems a shame, given that there's already a window there, and it would put a little bit of light into the garage, that you're throwing it away for not particularly important symmetry. But that's a small comment. Thank you.
Understood.
We have a question from the member of the public. Todd, confirm unmuting.
Yes, my observation, and I live on the side of the building, the apartment building 169 East 69th, that faces that direction. It faces west. And so this additional floor on this townhouse would make it the tallest townhouse, the tallest building between the two corner apartment buildings on 69th Street, 3rd and Lex. So in between 3rd and Lex.
Well, as the co-chair, I'll only answer that by saying that he's within the height limit, he's within the allowable zoning, and we are looking at it from the point of view of context and appropriateness, and that's how we'll make our judgment call.
Was there something else, Todd?
This is not a discussion.
Okay.
Let's go back to the committee, please.
Okay, you have another raised hand from a member of the public, from Michelle. Would you like to go to her, David?
We'll take it, even though it's late. They've all had their opportunity, but let's keep going with the public then.
Michelle?
Yes, I just wanted to understand better, just to follow up on what Todd had to say. Will this have any impact on the view of people who live at 169 to 69th Street on that side?
The visibility to the rear is of other taller buildings, so I would say not.
Okay, thank you.
Alita, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. I have to say, it seems too visible to me. I don't know, did I miss it? Can you see the front facade of the rooftop addition from across the street?
No, you can't, for sure. Across the street, no.
So, and I thought in one of your Lexington, it went by pretty fast, but it looked like there was some mock-up visible when you were showing what it looked like from Lexington. And I have some concerns about the rear.
that it's going to be a lot of light back there. And so that gives me a concern. I don't object to, I like the symmetry that you're creating in the front, but I'm concerned I'm sorry, I wasn't focusing when you were changing it. And I know that's from Third Avenue. It was the previous slide, but it was a corner towards the back of the back west corner of the building, northwest corner of the building. It looked somewhat visible, but obviously not hugely. And maybe I was just seeing something, but the back of it concerns me with all of the light that it will cast on people back there.
It's only visible from Third Avenue, really.
Yes. This is
Okay.
Third Avenue.
Alita,
Right, I
you
know.
are-
And I saw that. And so I know it's visible from Third. It was just a little bit from what I saw from Lexington. So that's not my issue, but my issue is the back of it and all of the glass that you're adding. Well, I'm glad to see a reduction in that non-conforming building. It feels like it's a lot more glass than there had been. And that's it.
You.
And
Anthony,
there
I think-
is, I'm sorry, especially at the top and those French doors. I like French doors, but they're longer. There's definitely more glass at the bottom. I'm trying to change the screen, but I can't. There's more at the bottom, and certainly at the top, they're just single panes of a lot of glass and a lot of light. And that's it. I'll stop. Thank you.
Sure. Anthony?
I think I talked.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going
That's okay.
backwards. We're going back.
Okay. Michelle, you are next.
Okay, thank you. I have to say I found this presentation a little confusing. Also because I found, Justin, your voice was a little muffled, even though I could read it at the bottom. I found it difficult to follow. So let me see what I understood. Number one, what's the dimension of the rooftop addition?
The height will roughly
The whole
be
dimension.
overall dimension. It's 24 by 34.
And the height?
Well, the height will be 11 feet tall. However, we are lowering the existing roof.
Okay. So you're allowed to have up to what, 75 feet?
60 feet.
Oh, 60. Okay. So you're lowering the roof so that you could make this 11 feet tall and be in compliance? Is that what you're doing?
We are lowering the roof level so that the lounge on the fifth floor has an 8'7" minimum ceiling height. That's to meet code, and then the parapet, pretty much the minimum parapet I can have.
You're fading away. So that what happens to the parapet?
It's 8'7" inside, and the minimum parapet I can have is 18 inches.
So if the height of this extension is 11 feet, the extension itself is 11 feet high, how much of that is hidden behind the parapet?
It's mostly hidden by the parapet.
Well, the parapet is almost 11 feet high?
Sorry, the parapet will now be 3'6".
Okay, so this will be between 7 and 8 feet
Correct.
above the parapet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So 7 or 8 feet above the parapet. Is any of this seen on 69th Street?
No.
What's the setback?
The setback is 26 feet 3 inches.
Okay. So that's why you don't see it from there. Okay. So, all right. Then if I could just quickly look at the front facade, what else are you proposing here? So that's what's happening, and it's going to be brick, correct? And it's going to be
Correct.
brick like the rest of the facade.
Correct.
And let me just see. And you're proposing a different front door, and the window is going to become a door, so that there are two doors, and they are now both going to enter into a garage with a center opening for the car. Okay, so 3 openings on the first floor, on the ground floor, correct?
Correct. The left door is the main entry door. Then there's the garage in the middle, and there's a false door to the right.
A false door, meaning it doesn't go into the garage?
Correct. It's to create symmetry between the garage doors. We just mimicked what's on the left.
So it goes nowhere. It doesn't open or close. It just goes nowhere.
Correct. Well,
And
it can, but at the moment it does not open.
So the window that's there, to just to address Anthony's point further, the window that's there now, does that yield light from the outside into the inside of whatever is behind it?
It does.
It does. And in this case, it would yield light to the newly proposed garage?
Barely, because there will be storage behind this.
Okay, well, all right. I'm not sure about that. Can we go to the rear? Otherwise, you're not proposing very much else for the front, correct?
Correct.
So, okay, so let's go to the rear. So the rear, the proposed and existing and from, okay, good, this one. Okay, is there any setback in the rear? Or is this right up to the, well, you have a little balcony there, so, okay, that's better. Okay, that's good. All right, I agree that it's too much glazing in the back. I'm happy about what's happened on the ground floor, that you've reduced the size of that extraneous structure and you've made it, you know, whatever. And somehow the glazing on that isn't, well, I know it's provides symmetry with the glazing on the rooftop addition, but it's not as problematic from being too much light because of its location, that it goes into the rear yard. But I do see too much glazing back here. I like the Juliet balconies. I'm fine with that detail. I like the multiple panes, but I think you do have too much glazing. I'm not sure how to address that. The side of the building remains the same, or you're doing some glazing down at the bottom on that little setback? Yeah, that. What's that going to be?
This is a skylight.
That goes to the basement? It's the first floor over the basement?
It's the first floor level, over the
Okay.
first floor level.
Okay, so it used to be just a plain ceiling. Now that's going to have a skylight. I understand that. Is what you represented there the form of the skylight? Is that the design to be all those rectangles? Is that an actual design, or is it just indicating a skylight?
It's indicating a skylight which would have a pitch similar to this, and it's not visible to any public view.
And it would just be like solid. It won't have those little pieces. It's going to be a solid look, right? I mean, I realize you had to draw it, so you had to indicate it some way. So is this just an indication, but it will have a solid look? Like a piece of glass? Yeah, okay. All right, so that's fine to my mind. That
Yeah,
doesn't-
there will be obscure glass there. You won't be able to see
yeah,
through.
okay, that's what I'm saying. But not in a pattern like that, just a piece
No.
of obscure glass. Okay.
It'll be very clean looking obscure glass.
Okay, so I'm fine with the front. I'm fine with the skylight. I have questions about the glazing in the rear. So thank you very much.
Gail?
All my questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Yes, I also have a problem with the amount of glazing at the rear. I much prefer and find much more appropriate the fenestration that exists there now. I like the reduction of the extension, but I feel that there's too much glass there, and that the arrangement of the windows is not as appropriate in the existing is.
Okay. Kimberly?
I have no further questions.
Christina, confirm unmuting.
Yes, no, I can approve this application. Thank you.
Okay. Jane? You can confirm unmuting, Jane.
Thank you. I'm going to defer to David. Thank you, Saida.
I think this is a very well done application. I think in general, I've heard good comments about the front. And now that the sides have been explained, I think that's pretty clear also. And I think appropriate. And as far as the rear goes, I think they've done a very good job. I think you have to give people an opportunity to live in the 21st century. And I think that the proportioning of the glazing against the solid is just fine. What I find interesting is two types of glazing at the base and glazing at the top, and then the glazing at the second floor with a little bit of the same going around. But somehow, as far as I'm concerned, it does seem all to work together. And I think you have to give people an opportunity to live the way they see fit. And I don't think there's too much glass there. First of all, it's not a fishbowl. Second of all, I think you have to, as we have done with so many other applications in the past, give people credit for the fact that they're not going to flood their neighbors with light. I think it's going to be pretty hard to do that from this building in any event. So if you think about that terrace as being an extension of the second floor, I think they've created much more livability. I think the look of that livability is appropriate. And I personally think that this application should be approved as proposed. So I think at this point, we need a resolution.
I propose a resolution to approve.
We need a second.
We have a second from Marco.
I guess, Saida, we have to ask you to see how the vote goes. Call the roll, please.
Elizabeth?
Abstain.
Gail?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
I need to think about this, so I'm going to abstain.
Anthony?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yeah.
Marco?
Yes.
Christina?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
I don't know.
Jane, I saw it clicking in my box.
Oh, I thought you wanted to go last. I'm
That's
sorry, David.
That's
Not a
okay. I'm
problem.
voting yes. Thank you, Saida.
David?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all. Jane, I give it back, the floor back to you.
Oh, I wanted you to continue to have the floor. It looks like I'm really in the dark now. So, I love it when an applicant brings a model. So that was wonderful to see the actual model for the penthouse addition.
Well, Messrs. Ramirez and Paraiso, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I see. Oh, I didn't know why you turned it back to me. Sorry.
I turned it back to you because I thought we had completed all of our applications.
Oh, I see. But then you thank Mr. Ramirez. I'm sorry, Mr. Ramirez. I didn't mean to interfere. It would have been more complicated for you to make a model, which I totally understand. So sorry I made that comment, maybe prematurely.
No, it was a fine comment, and they both did good applications.
Yes.
But Mr. Wang usually does very, very complete applications.
Well, models are expensive, so I recognize that too.
Jane, I don't know if you want to continue with old business, new business.
I'm hoping that there is no old business and no new business, and that we could move to adjourn.
Sounds good to me. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Alita.
Okay, thank you
Oh,
all.
I just want to add that I do hope, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands since I don't want to embarrass everyone, but I hope everyone did have a chance to look at that webinar of the Ada Louise Huxtable talk. It was marvelous. Anyway, with that, we can say goodbye. Good night.
Okay, see you
Okay.
Wednesday night.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good night.